Now, you may be feeling bad, but this will make you feel better that if you're feeling pretty lousy, you're not alone, because a lot of people have not had a good night's sleep, and there are lots and lots of reasons.
Yeah, there's a new survey out. 1 in 8 people feel tired all the time, with parents of younger children feeling more exhausted than any other group. This is a You Gov poll that has come out.
Well, let's now speak to an expert on all of this. Dr. Lindsay Browning is going to give us the reasons why all this should be, because, Lindsay, good morning to you. The NHS even recognise the word TAT, T-A-T-T, tired all the time.
Definitely. It's a huge problem. So many people are not getting enough sleep, or they're not prioritising it, or when they do try to go to sleep, they just can't because they're struggling to sleep because of stresses, all sorts of pressures. So this study tells me something that I'm experiencing all the time when I'm helping people with their sleep.
Do you know, when I talk to people about this and you say, you know, how did you sleep last night, which is a question we often ask people working in this building. But a lot of people would say, I just couldn't switch off. I couldn't switch off. My mind comes alive at night, and you sort of curse yourself because you tend to think more at night. Why do we tend to think more at night when we're lying there? Why are we so active?
Sure. Well, it makes sense, because during the day, often we're really busy. We've got, social engagements, work, kids, family, everything. We're just too busy during the day to stop for a second to think about anything that's on our mind. And then when you go to bed, you turn the lights off, you're in the dark, suddenly you've got all that room in your brain that is filled, and suddenly your brain starts to think about all these things it hasn't had a moment to think about during the day. So a couple of ways you can deal with that are to make time during the day to do that thinking, so that it's not just all stored up and waiting for at night, but also to do things like relaxation strategies, distractions, so that you can fill your mind with positive, relaxing things instead of all of those worries and anxieties when you're trying to sleep.
See, I've been an insomniac all my life, started in childhood, around 12 years old, very young. I even had to get prescription sleeping pills when I was at school. And it's something that I've become very aware of, and I work hard to try and make sure I switch my brain off. But do you think, we're ignoring it at our peril as a society? It's almost becoming a sleep epidemic, or lack of sleep, that, we're all walking around suffering the consequences.
Yeah, because as I understand it, Lindsay, sleep is part of the body's way of cleansing. It's like a second liver. It sort of cleanses, it processes all the thoughts that you were talking about and what Isabel was talking about there. So if we're not getting it, we're in trouble.
Definitely, because during our dreaming sleep, we process emotion and all those sorts of things that we're dealing with during the day. And we also process physical things, like you said. During our sleep, we get rid of amyloid plaques in the brain, which help the buildup of amyloid plaques has been linked to Alzheimer's. So that's why people who don't get enough sleep are more likely to suffer from dementia. So, yeah, like I said, life has got so many stresses. And the trouble with the last couple of years and the changes that we've all faced with the coronavirus is there's a complete change in our lifestyle. People are working from home more. They're not leaving the house. They're constantly thinking about work, even when they're at home. So then it's hard to switch that off when you go to bed, because it's just all there. And people aren't making time to sleep.
Doctor, can I ask you, is it a good thing to give into it? Because Isabel and I, again, would chat about this. So if you do shift work, awful. I mean, our empathy, our sympathy to you, whatever your shift work is. But do you give into it? Like, so say, for instance, you feel tired. Should you then sleep, whether it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, whether it's 6 o'clock at night, whatever? Do you give into that, or do you try and build in a pattern or a structure?
That's a great question. So when people are working shifts, it doesn't really matter when you get the sleep, as long as you get it. We don't have to sleep in one solid block. People think that you have to sleep for a 7-8 hour block. That's not true. You can sleep for 3-4 hours at the start of the day, get some stuff done, and then have another 3-4 hours sleep later on. That worked really well with shifts. It's just about getting the right amount of sleep. But if you're struggling to fall asleep at night because you can't switch your brain off, you're really struggling to sleep, then naps in the afternoon can be counterproductive. But if you're not sleeping enough at night because you're just too busy and you're just got so many responsibilities, then an afternoon nap is a great way of catching up on that sleep and reducing that tiredness. They're tired all the time that
Well,
they're talking about in this survey.
Yeah, you say that naps can be a game changer and can be the way forward. But, from my perspective, if I have a nap after doing an early shift, I feel
worse,
nauseous, hungover, I've got headaches, I'm foggy. I feel worse than when I went to sleep. So I'm inclined to try and push through. We've got small kids as well, and play it that way. But, that's not always the best advice. I'm intrigued to know what your thoughts are.
Sure. Well, naps, so we have these things called sleep cycles. So about every hour and a half, we'll go through a full sleep cycle. And we have a sort of light sleep, then deep sleep, and then dreaming sleep. And if you wake up from a nap and you're in deep sleep, so about an hour's worth of nap, then you'll probably find yourself waking up from deep sleep and you'll feel groggy and you'll have those symptoms of feeling sluggish. So it's a really good idea if you're going to have a nap to limit it to about 20-30 minutes so you don't get into that deep sleep part that's going to make you feel groggy, or have a really long nap of an hour and a half and have a full sleep cycle helping you feel really refreshed. So it could be that your nap timing isn't giving you the benefits that you need.
See, I can just hear the whole newsroom. They're making notes.
Yes.
What do we do? Yep, okay, got that.
But, Doctor, fascinating talking to you. We could talk to you all day. Maybe we'll have you back again because, as you say, it affects everybody, no matter what race, religion, creed, colour, background, sex
job.
you are. It affects absolutely everybody. We've all got to do it, and some of us aren't doing it enough or with quality. Dr. Lindsay Browning, thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
We're
very much.
also aware, aren't we, that you need to drink water or exercise, but going to bed early...
Water, then you have to get up to let
Well,
the
I'm
water
not talking
out.
about at bedtime. I'm just saying, the health priorities, we're all drilled in to know that you've got to eat well, you've got to exercise, you've got to drink water, but we don't prioritise sleep. So perhaps that's something that we need to start
But you see, the
doing.
other thing is, if you decide to have a nap or do something because you're feeling weary, and you shouldn't have that guilt about feeling weary, because you can see here it just affects everybody. Because you go to sleep and try and catch up on your sleep, it doesn't mean that the world comes to an end. You still get deliveries at the front door. You still get, phone calls from the bank, work calls.
Yeah.
All sorts of things. Kids, as you say, children, they ruin everything.
They do.
Children come in and they just ruin your life.
No.
But it's an awful situation. If you've got a solution, if you've got a problem, chat to us today about this, and we'll discuss this later on in the programme. Back after the break.
After the break.
Back after the break.